Greetings, booktubers, and welcome back to Grammaticus Books. Welcome back to a hidden comic book gem edition of Grammaticus Books on a Wednesday, which is unusual because I usually do these for Sunday comics. But the last time I tried to do a hidden comic book on a Sunday, which is just a couple Sundays ago, the hidden comic book gem was so well hidden that it was lost. And in that video that subsequently aired without that comic, I may or I may not have intimated that one of my daughters may have been responsible for losing that comic book. When that video aired, my daughter immediately went down, got into her car, drove the 45 minutes over here to Graham's End, just south of the Shire, and then she and my wife went through my house top to bottom and found the comic book exactly where I, Grammaticus, had left it. Yes, I am the one who lost it, but it's found, and that's the good news. It was located in one of my downstairs bookcases, wedged between two books. And the two books it was wedged between were the Simon & Schuster Encyclopedia of Dinosaurs and Other Prehistoric Animals, which is just a terrific book, and The New Dinosaurs by William Stout, which is another just absolutely fantastic book. And one day I'm going to do a complete video on these two books because they're so good. But the reason it was wedged between those two books is because today's hidden comic book gem is Dark Horse's Age of Reptiles, Tribal Warfare by Ricardo Delgado. And it is just an absolute gem of a comic. I mean, this is one of my absolute favorite comics in my comic book collection. It's fantastic. So in 1993, Ricardo Delgado is hired by Dark Horse to do the Age of Reptiles. It's a 4-issue comic that comes out, and then in 1996, they do the trade paperback. And the reason Dark Horse does this comic at this time is because basically the United States is gripped in dinosaur mania. In 1990, Michael Crichton comes out with his book Jurassic Park. In 93, the movie comes out, which is a mega hit. 95, Raptor Red, the novel, comes out, which is about a Utah raptor. And the US is just gripped in dinomania. And Dark Horse wants to capitalize on this, so they hire Ricardo Delgado. And Delgado is working for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and he's the storyboard artist. So he's a trained graphic artist who knows how to sequentially tell a story using panels and layouts perfectly. And he just so happens that he loves dinosaurs to boot, which is quite fortuitous for us because this is just magic on a page. I mean, it is absolutely one of the most beautiful comic books. And I'm going to go ahead and show it to you guys here. I want to go ahead and get as much of this comic book up on the screen for you guys so that you can just see what an absolute gem it is. So let's just jump into it. In the inside cover here, you've got a map, a very dark map. It's probably hard to see, of where this takes place, the valley in the Cretaceous period. And then you have introductions by the legend Ray Harryhausen and John Landis, who did, I think, Blues Brothers. I think he did American Werewolf in London. Those are both Landis movies, both praising Ricardo Delgado, and with good reason. And then Delgado gives you little profiles of all the different characters, all the different dinosaurs that appear in the book. And he gives them all names. Like this T-Rex is Blueback. Down here is Longjaw, who's on the cover. You've got this Carnotosaurus that's named Hades. And then you've got one mammal in the book who has an important role, although he has very little time in here, called Proto. He's the proto-mammal. And then you go right into the opening page of issue 1, which is this pack of Deinonychuses, these Utah raptors, that are basically just a bunch of bandits. They're all ragged and rough-looking, as Ricardo Delgado renders them in here, attacking a hapless herbivore. And they're taking it down for their meal. You get a great shot of the valley there by Delgado. He just is fantastic with his scenery and with his dinosaurs. And then here you've got the pack going after another herbivore dinosaur, a Diplodocus or something similar. Here you get the faces of all the Utah raptors and a great action shot over here. And this is what Ricardo Delgado does so well in this book. He does the action, bringing these dinosaurs to life in just a fantastic way that makes them vibrant, athletic. He's got all the motion in it. And at the same time, since he can't use any dialogue because they're all dinosaurs, he can tell the story with the expressions on the faces of these dinosaurs that is just amazing. the character that he puts into them with his facial expressions, the emotion that he's able to imbue into them really carries the story. And it's what makes it, part of what makes this such a fantastic book. So here they are ripping apart their prey that they brought down. And then Blue Black shows up, the T-Rex, and chases them off. And this is the start of the feud right here. You get a little Cretaceous version of the Hatfields and McCoys going on in this book. And look at this just wonderful artwork. Look how bright and vibrant the colors are. Look at the facial expressions. Look at the action. I mean, it is just knock your socks off. Beautiful work by Delgado. So Blue Black chases them off and he steals their prey. And look at the expression that he gets on his face of just looking down on these Deinonychuses, these smaller predators with utter contempt. And then down here, just the look of absolute rage on this one Utah raptor. And right there, you've got the feud. The feud has been kicked off. So the Deinonychuses, they get upset. And as Blue Black goes back to the nest of their family, of their pride of T-Rexes, he gets followed by one of the Deinonychuses. And just look at the great scenery in there. I love it. Not only can he draw the dinosaurs in such a stupendous way, but he also puts it in a fantastic Cretaceous setting. So Blue Black gets followed back to where his nest is, where they have their pride, and they're also incubating some eggs for the new generation of T-Rexes. And one of the Deinonychuses, or a couple of them, get in and they steal some of the eggs. They're running off with them. They make a jump. They make a leap that the T-Rex can't do and can't follow, and just bellows with rage at the top of the rock there. And the tit-for-tat feud is on. And that's issue 1. And it's just wonderful. Right there, you know that you're in for a treat. So then you get issue 2. You get a little eye candy here with some dinosaurs. This started off with a Parasaurolophus. I guess he has a Parasaurolophus. There's about 35 different syllables in the words of that, the name of that dinosaur. I always screw it up. Another wonderful setting shot with the dinosaurs down on the bottom in the waterfall to just set the scene for you. Little Cretaceous tour there. And then here's the T-Rex is stopping the Parasaurolophus. And of course he's going to get him. And then it switches over to the pack of the Deinonychuses, the other group in this Hatfield-McCoy feud. And they're hunting their prey. And they're down by the water's edge. And just look at the expressions on their faces. It's absolutely wonderful. It's so well done, so expressive. And as they're down by the water hunting their prey, a giant prehistoric crocodile comes out, and he's just going to take this guy down. And the look on the face of this Utah raptor is just like, oh crap, this is it. And it in fact is it for that Utah raptor. So he gets the crunch. And then you're going back into the T-Rexes. So the T-Rexes, in order to get back, they then follow the Deinonychuses back to their home base, which is right here, this great big pile of thorns, this huge pile of thorns. And a T-Rex gets in there and wreaks havoc on half of the pack while the other half is out. And again, the feud is just continuing. So they're going back and forth. This T-Rex here, this looks like a Longjaw, tears him up and then takes off and jumps off with a look of glee on his face. And then we're on to part 3. Where he started off with another scenery shot, setting the stage. And then the Deinonychuses take on an Ankylosaurus without much success. This guy down here gets thumped pretty good by the tail. And then the T-Rexes take the fight back to the Utah Raptors. And this is not going to go well for the Utah Raptors. As you can see, it doesn't end well for this Utah Raptor over here in particular. But take a look at the action shot there. Take a look at how well Delgado can just pose, stage, and bring these dinosaurs to life. Really, I don't know of anybody who can do it better than he can. And particularly his ability to put emotion and character into the faces of them in order to bring the story along and just show what's going on behind those eyes is what really makes the story click. And here you get an ichthyosaur that's going to get one of the Utah raptors that gets a little too far in the water. Pretty hard life being a Deinonychus back in the Cretaceous. And again, the Utah raptor pack is getting the worst of it. Until one of the baby T-Rexes gets a little too far from home, he strays off too far, and the Utah raptor pack corners him. Tries to make his getaway, but he's unsuccessful. He does some damage before he goes down, but the pack gets him, and then the mother T-Rex discovers the loss and just is bellowing in rage over the loss of the baby T-Rex. And at this point, you know it's going to come to a massive climax in part 4. And there you get the dinosaur Hades, who's a Carnotosaurus. He's really well rendered. I love the way that Delgado put him up here on the page. What just wonderful work by him. You can tell that he just loves dinosaurs. So again, the Utah raptor pack has tracked down a dinosaur that has died. I will guess of thirst at this point has collapsed, and they're not picky. They'll go ahead and eat him anyway. And as they're trying to get their meal, in comes Hades to chase them off. Kind of the story of their life. They keep bringing down these big plant eaters and then get chased off by a bigger meat eater. But again, just look at the expressions that he puts on the faces of those Deinonychuses. Look at the character that he can put into it. It's just amazing. It's what carries the story. You wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. And the great action. So as that fight's going on, the pride, the family of the Tyrannosaurus Rexes has decided enough is enough with the loss of their young one. And they head out on the march, and they're going to take the war, a final conflict there to the Utah raptor pack. And as they're heading over there, of course, the rain starts to come down. And you get an absolute storm that breaks just as the final Armageddon comes down with the rumble in the jungle here. And Delgado gives you just a spectacular splash page here for his rumble in the jungle with the final showdown between the T-Rexes and the Utah raptors. Love this picture up here with the two Utah raptors up on the head of the longjaw T-Rex up there on the top. It's just so beautifully done. And the fight goes on. And you get quite a few pages of this fight. Until finally, the home of the Utah raptors collapses and you get them all tumbling off on the side. And then the next morning, when the storm breaks and the sun comes out, the only survivor is the T-Rex Longjaw as he cuts up out of the rubble. And he goes back to their nest. As he comes to the nest, he looks down at the nest and he has an absolute look of shock on his face, shock and dismay, because while they were off doing the battle, the rumble in the jungle, Proto, the one mammal, got into the nest and ate all their eggs, which I think is it's just a great ending to it. That these giant dinosaurs, these titans of the Cretaceous, are defeated by the little mammal while they're out having their blood feud. And that ends the book. And it is just so well done. I mean, it's just terrific. And then here's some workup pages that Delgado gives you. And at the end of this book, you get a letter from Delgado talking about his work on it. And I'm just going to read his last sentence in here because I think it's a good one. And so Delgado says of his work, Well, I think that's it. All that remains is simply to do the work. The last bit of advice I'll give you is never stop reading or drawing. You'll see where all your favorite tales come from. And I think that's just fantastic advice. Never stop reading, never stop doing something creative, and you'll see where all your tales come from. It's very true. So in 1993, Delgado does the Age of Reptiles, the Tribal Warfare series, which I think is the best. He follows it up later with Age of Reptiles, The Hunt, which is 5 issues. There's issue number 1 with a Ceratosaurus, not to be confused with a Carnotosaurus. In fact, that's my T-Rex. I got a Ceratosaurus downstairs. There's issue 2 of The Hunt. Issue number 3 of The Hunt. Issue number 4. Hopefully there's not too much glare coming off of those plastic covers. And then issue number 5, which ends The Hunt. And The Hunt actually won Delgado an Eisner Award, which is one of the highest awards you can get as a comic book artist. So they thought very highly of it. Frankly, I think that this is his best series. It's much better than The Hunt, in my opinion. And then after The Hunt, Delgado did The Journey, which was another, I think, 4 or 5 issue series. And at that point, Dark Horse collected all of these into an omnibus and published an omnibus of Tribal Warfare, The Hunt, and Journey. And then after that, there was one more series done by Delgado in Age of Reptiles. It was called Ancient Egyptians, and that finished out the run. If you're interested in picking these up, a hard copy of the trade paperback, there are very limited numbers that are available, and they're going to start at about $30, and then they're going to run you up to about $75. So it can get a little pricey. If you want to buy the omnibus in hardcover, an actual physical omnibus, it is going to cost you about an arm and a leg. Prices on those start at $150, and then they just go up from there. So it's a bit exorbitant to get the omnibus in a physical copy. However, there is good news. There is a Kindle version of the omnibus that collects those three series, Tribal Warfare, The Hunt, and The Journey, and you can get it on Kindle for just $12. So that is definitely the way to go. But this is just absolutely, it is one of my favorite comic books in my collection. I love it. My kids have all read it. They all love it. It is just so well done. It's absolute graphic novel magic put down on the page by Delgado. And it's just a spectacular hidden comic book gem. If you like dinosaurs at all, I would highly encourage you to go out, especially to get a Kindle. $12 for this, and you are going to well get your money's out of it, or well get your money's worth out of it, I should say. But that's it. That's today's hidden comic book gem. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. And with that, I'm going to say take care, be safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.